Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Wiki Rural Tourism Council Goa, it's my absolute pleasure and privilege to welcome all of you to this discussion this afternoon. My name is Mini Ribeiro, and I'm the state president for the council. It's indeed a wonderful nice sunny afternoon in Goa today, and we're going to be talking about the monsoon green leafy vegetables. I have with me an esteemed panel of speakers this afternoon who are actually going to be throwing light on this subject, the monsoon green leafy vegetables. As the pandemic-battered world tries to get back on its feet, gastronomy tourism is looked upon as a key step to restart the beleaguered tourism sector. Sustainable practices have become more important and relevant today as never before, and perhaps these are an important tool to rebuild the local economy. Keeping this in mind, our discussion this afternoon on monsoon green leafy vegetables is really to explore how these can be used as a step towards creating awareness about rural tourism, perhaps making this a peg around which rural tourism can center, and of course, finding out how these vegetables grow, how important is seasonality in rural tourism, and of course, how can these green leafy vegetables be cooked and served in delicious delicacies. Without much ado, I'm going to introduce my three panelists. The first panelist is Miguel Braganza. The second is Dr. Maryanne Lobo. And my third panelist is Rita Shinde. Miguel Braganza has completed his M.Sc. Agriculture in Horticulture with distinction and is a former agriculture officer who now promotes organic agriculture by mentoring graduates in agriculture and biotechnology, writing books, weekly articles for newspapers, currently in the Navhind Times, and his consultancy services. He moderates discussions, especially the Sunday webinar series held every Sunday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. for the general public on organic vegetables, gardening, and fruit cultivation. We're absolutely delighted to have you here. Good afternoon and a warm welcome again. My second speaker this afternoon is Dr. Maryanne Lobo, who's an Ayurveda practitioner by profession, but a nature lover by birth. She enjoys her clinical practice by the call of nature, but it's a preservation call which was really strong to resist for her. And so the medicinal walks in the wild commenced. She takes people on a journey in the wild, reviving memories, creating new ones, through creative narratives entwined with folklore and tradition. Creating recipes and which are good for the gut is her passion. She enjoys adding local wild edibles available according to the season to daily diets constantly. She loves to learn new things daily from her interaction with tribals and farmers. Welcome, Dr. Maryanne, and indeed a pleasure to have you amongst us. My third speaker, last but not the least, is Rita Shinde. She is a lady who hails originally from Vella, Goa, a village in Piswadi, where locals grow traditional vegetables in their farms and kitchen gardens. Rita is extremely passionate about food and cooking, and Goan cuisine in particular, and has honed her skills from her mother, as well as over the years herself, by experimenting and being extremely innovative. She started her culinary venture, Rita's Gourmet, in the year 2011 in Dublin, where she imparts regular cookery classes and some engaging culinary experiences to travelers who visit Goa. Rita's Gourmet Goa was also featured in Fox Live in an episode of Twist of Taste, anchored by Master Chef Vikas Khanna. Rita was also one of the 12 participants who was chosen by Maggie Nestle as women who are inspirational through the power of cooking. The show Maggie Kitchen Journeys, Kuch Acha Pak Raha Hai, was aired on Z Network, Living Foods, and anchored by actress Renuka Shahane. Rita believes in her slogan, celebrate the joy of cooking. Since her passion has converted into a full-time profession, she does not regret taking a voluntary retirement from her previous professional commitment of a central government job as a customs officer for over a decade. Rita is married into a Maharashtrian family. So I must say we have an eclectic mix of speakers this afternoon, and I'm so excited, and I'm sure so is the audience. And without much ado, I'm going to request our first speaker, Miguel Braganza, to please tell us about monsoon leafy vegetables, how they are grown, and how does he see them as a peg for rural tourism. Over to you, Miguel.
Thank you, Mini Ribeiro, for the introduction. And what I'm going to tell you, quite a few things I've learned from Dr. Maryanne Lobo's father, Mr. Francis Borges, who initiated us to the wild vegetables that were found around. Growing vegetables is something that we do during the monsoon, but more than that, foraging for plants which give us vegetables is something that we do. And we have quite a few vegetables that we pick up. Prominent among them is Talkulachi Bhaji, the Cassiatora, the Dovi Bhaji, which is related to our Tamri Bhaji, the Amaranthus, the white amaranth. And we have, of course, the celosia, the coxcomb type, Celosia argyratum, which we call as Kuduchi Bhaji or Kuduki or Piduki. I'll just briefly introduce you to those plants so that you can see that. Screen sharing has been disabled. Please enable.
Shall I share it?
You can share it also.
Yes, please.
I'm not able to see the screen.
Are you able to see it, please? Are you able to see the screen, please?
No, I'm not able to see the screen. Anyway, it's on the first slide.
Yes, please. I'm on the
okay.
Amaranth.
Okay, Amaranth. Okay, I'll talk to you about it. The Amaranths are common in the Goan market and also in the house. What we get most commonly and use is the Kuduchi Bhaji or the Kuduki, which also helps to reduce the tendency for people to get diabetes. It's part of the vegetables used for Gauri Puja, that's on the third day of Ganapati, and also otherwise eaten during Shravan. It's related to the Tamri Bhaji or the red amaranth, which is common in India, and also to the grain amaranth, which was grown by the Incas in Latin America. So this is a very important vegetable and has got good iron and vitamin C content. Next slide, please. So the next vegetable that we have here is the Cassiatora or the Talkuli, which can be cooked by itself with maybe onion and grated coconut, and it's a common vegetable to have. Foraging is done normally the topmost two leaves. It's a compound leaf. It belongs to the legume family, Caesalpinaceae. So the topmost two tender leaves are normally plucked. You can see in the picture on your left how it is being pinched. Traditionally, you grab 2 fingers and then pinch it off with your thumbnail and pick it off, and it's cooked. In Goa, almost all vegetables are cooked with grated coconut. So that also comes up over here. You can mix it with peas, with the dal, that split peas or pulses, or also with jackfruit seed. Jackfruit seed boiled is very good and it's gluten-free. So jackfruit is something that's catching up now, and being gluten-free is very good for those who are gluten intolerant. The number is rising all over the world, and jackfruit seed is something that helps to go very well with your Talkulachi Bhaji. The next vegetable that I'm talking to you about is not very common now, It's related to the cucumber and the pumpkin and the bitter gourd or the Karela. But this is Fagala, and it is rare among the cucurbits because it is a perennial. There is a root tuber which remains in the ground and which sprouts every monsoon. You don't have to plant it afresh. Every year it will come up in the jungles or maybe in your backyard, and all you got to do is harvest the fruit and cook it. You can cook it as any other vegetable. You can cook it along with meat. But the best way I like it is to slice it very fine into rings and do it like bindi fry. Deep fried, crispy, very nice. You won't eat any other chips if you eat this particular vegetable fried. Now, the way forward is to have these vegetables also in urban areas. Urban gardening is something that we have introduced for biotechnology students also in the cities, so people can have urban vegetable cultivation, including our traditional ones. Next slide, please. We have competitions and exhibitions for school students and higher secondary students for the last 30 years in the Aspect School in Seoli, and that has encouraged a lot of schools to participate, to learn about. And now with Google, the students can research and give you more information that you thought was possible or that you knew. We also have exhibitions and sales, as we have had in Carmel's or even in Aspects or other schools, and that's very useful. Next one is student-to-student transfer of information and skills, or youth to youth, and that is our rural agriculture work experience program with agriculture students. You can see them showing how to grow vegetables organically, and that is the way we will be able to preserve our tradition, because we'll be preserving our vegetables. And vertical gardening is a sure option now, where if you're living in a flat, vertically with pots hanging into a frame, you can grow vegetables, both traditional and the new ones, and you can have a good production in an apartment block. Our theme always is there in the next slide. It's team, together everyone achieves more. And if you have the schools, colleges, agriculture department, ICR, all other institutions working together, we can do much more. So that is all I would like to say. Those of you who would want more information later can contact me. My contacts are there. And thank you very much for the opportunity to present here. We will discuss later.
Thank you very much, Miguel. That was extremely interesting, insightful. Apart from the fact that you shared so many details about the vegetables, I think even giving us his little culinary tips as to how these can be cooked and served, and how we can actually promote this, with the youth and the younger generation, so that we actually preserve these culinary traditions, these vegetables are preserved, and of course we can take this further. That was extremely interesting and insightful. And that really brings me to my next speaker, Dr. Maryanne Lobo. And I'm going to request her to tell us a little more about this in terms of her walks, how she actually sees this as an opportunity in rural tourism, and how these can be promoted. Over to you, Dr. Maryanne.
Thank you so much, Mini. This is a really wonderful opportunity that you have given me. And I see it as an opportunity where we can present our local vegetables to a broader audience, and a broader audience can get acquainted with some of the hidden vegetables as there are there in our rural areas. And one of the ones that I would suggest that everyone, take a partake in this monsoon season is Clerodendron serratum, or bharangi as it is called in the local language. Now, this particular vegetable grows rampantly in all plateau areas as well as hilly areas. You will find them growing so much here in Bardez, in Talegaon, in Iliash, and in so many areas even in the south. Now, this particular vegetable is very good for colds, coughs, asthma. Okay, it is one of the medicines also told in Ayurveda. But if you see, the older generation harvested tender leaves of this vegetable. Okay, and this vegetable is very tasty. When you cut the leaves and you just taste them raw, it is a very nice and a spicy flavor. You can add them to omelets because that's a lovely way with which you can introduce it to children since they suffer from cold more often. And you can also add them to soups, to dals, to sambars. And for those, of course, who like the nice option of, how would you say, having a different nutty flavor, you can add jackfruit seeds to this vegetable. The other one that I would say that can be really consumed during this rainy season is akurichi bhaji, or the mangrove edible fern. And I have a very special connection with this fern in the sense like the colors of it always intrigued me when I was younger. And initially, I didn't like the taste of this vegetable, but as I grew up and I learned to enjoy the vegetables, I realized that this vegetable was so nutritious. Now, this vegetable is loaded with iron, micronutrients, okay, and there is a lovely article written by a journalist, food journalist called Maryanne Lobo, where she mentions a lot about this vegetable. It's a worthwhile read. You can go and read about it, okay. And this particular vegetable is also called as Acrostium aureum, okay, and you can consume it along with prawns because that's how it tastes. It requires a bit of protein to enhance its flavor. You can make a tonak out of it, as it is called locally. Okay, you can use it with prawns. You can use it. I have tried using it even with a little bit of tisrio or mussels, as you can say. So this is something unique one can try. Mildly spice it if you are into a little bit of not eating spices. Doesn't taste nice without spices. It tastes good with spices. For those who are suffering from constipation and piles, this is a very good vegetable. You can consume this even if you're, especially, see, that's why the rainy season abundance, because this is the problem. People get stomach ache, you get, lose motions or constipation. Both of the two things can happen in rainy season. Constipation being primarily. Okay, so that's why you consume this. It has micronutrients that we all require during this month. Secondly, also in the month of Shravan, you do not eat non-veg. So this becomes the substitute with which one can eat something that will supplement what is required, the non-veg provides the body. This vegetable will provide you with those basic nutrients that one requires. The same with bharangi. Bharangi is known to, even help balance blood sugar. So see the abundance of nature. I mean, how nature provides for us per season. Okay. And another one that I would really encourage people to consume during this month, and which I tell people in my walk, is lutichi bhaji. Okay, which is an amorphilus. And this vegetable, but it is consumed with a souring agent. So either coca, tamarind, or ambada. And this is what cuts the itchiness that is present in this particular vegetable. It is very famous in Vashi and in Thane. Surprising to say, though it grows here in Goa, consuming this vegetable all over again. Then also it has been found, they say nosodista. These words many people use in Konkani. So for the rejuvenation of the body, even the lutichi bhaji is used. And also during this time, people plant a lot of tubers. I am one who has been promoting a use of a lot of these yams because we have seen an increase in the a wide range of vitamins. Ayurveda gives more of, dietary, tells how we can improve our diet. Is available, we can introduce this. I just recently came across on Instagram a restaurant in Mumbai that is using purple yam, and that is nothing but our Dioscorea elata. They have used it in mainstream cuisine. It was so encouraging to indigenous vegetable into mainstream cuisine. And this is how I will say that, you know, if we can encourage our younger generation, maybe in the form of grated chips, something like that, where they also get maybe some these vegetables, and it's a lovely flavor, lovely taste, but some don't like Calcutta. So then you give them chips, you bring it out in a little different way. You see how we can introduce these vegetables to the younger generation and then make them like it in the ways that they can, you know. So there is so much. So I will touch. I also started a food masterclass, just very minor. So to introduce these hidden vegetables in a way of cooking and how we can cook according to a lot of different things. So introducing these vegetables into a very modern lifestyle also. But trust me, I am full on for the older generation style of cooking, which includes katkates and tornaks and passed down from one generation to the other. They have deep memories for me. So these are the little vegetables that I could think of and share. Of course, there are so many more. Like we have also, which is also called as tumba. Now, many do not know tumba grows in the fields, but tumbo, it is very good as a vegetable. Consumed, and it is very good for cold, for those who suffer from sinusitis. You can even remove the juice of it and consume it just like that, or with rumbod. If anyone knows or has heard of the cluster figs, very few people use these vegetables nowadays. And the cluster figs is actually, one of the Latin names is Ficus glorata. But you know, over the years, the species umber in Konkani or Marathi. Now, umber is a people will use it like a sign that they can dig a well, or they will know there's a water source. That is how we use umber. Now, I make a nice sabji. Sometimes I use it to my katkate. I try bringing different little vegetables into the. These ways we introduce new vegetables, which are new for the newer generation, but of course the older generation knew about it. You can also try to make a pickle. Just get in touch with me, and I would not mind sharing the recipe. So this vegetables that I can think of during this rainy season, and even during the later months, the berries of Goa are loaded. So if we like it, now rumbot can be planted, you know, in the suburbs. Areas, of course, we will have one in there, the Panjim Church to the right hand side. If you're standing, your back facing the church, there's a lovely fruit. I take off it through foraging also. And I can hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maryanne. Not only was it very insightful and interesting and informative in terms of the health benefits, you know, from an Ayurveda perspective, but I think the little tips and tricks that you've shared with us, and I've learned so many new things. I don't know about my other esteemed panelists, but I've certainly learned a whole lot of new vegetables, and they can be cooked in such exciting ways. Thank you so very much for throwing light on this in such an interesting manner. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Rita Shinde, our gourmet and cooking expert, who's actually going to tell us exciting ways how these vegetables can be prepared, cooked, and of course, her own childhood memories and other aspects.
Yes.
Over to you, Rita.
Thank you, Mini, for having me today on this discussion of seasonal vegetables or the leafy vegetables. It gives me immense pleasure to know Mr. Miguel Braganza and Dr. Maryanne Lobo. Well, I was born in Diu and brought up in this village of Goavelia. The main occupation of the villagers in Goavelia was farming. And during the monsoons, besides cultivating paddy, the villagers would also cultivate or grow the seasonal vegetables. Most of you know the names: bende, gosali, toshe, pimpri, then the snake gourd or the bottle gourd, and not forgetting sometimes tamri bhaji and dovi bhaji as well. Okay. But besides this, I have to say that we are very lucky in Goa to have these natural leafy vegetables that grow in abundance. Namely, taikilo, as Mr. Miguel has already mentioned, taikilo, kuddukechi bhaji, taro, or it's also called as elephant ears, because the leaf resemble elephant ears, and also the akur. Now, just with the onset of the monsoon, you can see the taro, not the taro, but the taikilo and the kuddukechi bhaji grown in abundance on the roadside and also in the plain areas or in the flat areas. And these are ready for plucking. The leaflets are ready within a span of 15 or 20 to 25 days. They're ready for plucking. And as far as taikilo is concerned, just the tender leaflets have to be plucked. But as far as the kuddukechi bhaji, or some people call it piddukechi bhaji, so the leaf as well as the stems are used. And of course, you can convert them or cook them into amazing or delicious dishes. Well, that I can come to a later stage. Coming to the taro. Now, taro, you will find them, or aluchi pana, we call it in Marathi, or called aluchi pana. These you can find on the roadside, especially where there is this water wall. We call it wall, and where just the water is stagnant water, you'll find them in big bunches, okay, in big bushes. But the locals, they exactly know which leaf to pick up and from which area also to pick up, because not all these are edible. All these taro leaves are edible. Okay, and coming to this now, the akur, of course, they are grown in the fertile Khazan mangroves. I always relate akur to Goan asparagus. I always call it as Goan asparagus. Okay. Now, besides these vegetables that are which grow in nature and free, I would say they just grow in abundance in nature, it is said that at least once in the monsoon season, you have to consume these vegetables so that most of the monsoon ailments that you may get or you tend to get is kept at bay, or it helps to fight these ailments. And I think it's a fact and we have been consuming this in our young generation, in the young days. Beside these leafy vegetables, we also have, now these are the vegetables that are grown, maybe in the field or in the kitchen garden. This chaulichi palya bhaji. Chauli is the cowpea. And dudhyachi. Now, dudhi is the yellow pumpkin. That is the dudhyachi. Palya bhaji is the tender stems of both these vegetables, which are used to cook into these leafy vegetables. And sometimes in most of these families, most of the families in Goa, it's a must to cook these vegetables during Savat or during the Ganesh festival. It's a must. And coming to this vauchi bhaji. Now, vauchi bhaji is it's grown throughout the year. And I remember we have it in our kitchen garden all the 12 months of the year. Okay. And I have a strong memory with this vauchi bhaji My mom used to use this invariably in the soup, and we used to have this sopa grossa every day for supper. And it was very nutritious. Okay, so, and this is what I think we should keep the generation going, as Dr. Maryanne said, and Mr. Miguel also said, we have to imbibe this into the younger generation. Coming to the akur, I have already said, the moskachi palya bhaji. Now, moskachi is the moringa. Now, I would say that moskachi palya bhaji, the green tender stem, is the best to have during the rainy season, because it's so tender, and once you cook it as with the dal or coconut, it's so buttery and it's really delicious, very soft and tender. Of course, you can consume it during the entire year because it's always available, and it's very good. It's rich in antioxidant, rich in vitamins, and also it also helps to reduce the blood cholesterol and also the sugar levels. This it's a very good vegetable. Likewise, even the earlier leafy vegetables, they are also rich in vitamins and minerals, and that's the reason, as I was saying, that it helps to fight the ailments, the monsoon ailments that you may tend to get them. I'm not forgetting the turmeric leaves, or we call it, of course, we will not say it's a vegetable, or haldi pana. And I'm sure all of us know that we make the patolis out of the haldi pana. So I say, why not make the savory version of patoli? Instead of the chun and gourd, why not we add some vegetables in that, or for the non-vegetarians, some non-veg stuffing inside that? And I tried that, and it really tastes awesome. It's good, I'll say. And I'm sure you should try that. You should try that. And even the side cuttings of the patore chipana, I use it to flavor the kheer or godshe that we make in the mandos, when we make mandos. And it's really, really delicious. It tastes, because the flavor of that, and it has got lots of medicinal properties as well. So these are some of the vegetables, the leafy vegetables, that we have to keep them. And coming to, as Mini said, some recipes, coming to the taro, we make aloo vadi. So why not, instead of aloo vadi, also you can make shak. Okay, teracha panacha shak. Like, it's something like a curry with coconut ground in that. And since it has got presence of calcium oxalate crystals, which you tend to get the itchiness in the throat. So you have to treat it or cook it with a souring agent like ambade or tamarind pulp. Okay, ambade, tamarind pulp is the best, or kokum. Even kokum is the best when you add to that. And why not you make the vadi? When you make the vadi, have the vadi with a nice hot cup of tea, sit it on your balcony, and have the gozali with a nice pouring rain on the sun, on the sides. When the rain is pouring, you have a hot cup of tea with the vadi. And I think it makes good sense, right? Yes. Over to you, Mini.
Thank you so much, Rita. My God, I must tell you, I'm actually waiting for it to pour all over again and to try some of the suggestions and delicacies that you've detailed so well, and you've actually brought it alive before our eyes. Won't my other panelists agree with me for that? Absolutely. You've given us such detailed descriptions, wonderful tips, and such interesting information from all of you. And now I'm going to request all of you to maybe, I'm going to ask you all some questions, and then we can sort of, really have a discussion amongst ourselves and amongst the three speakers as well. The first question is to Dr. Maryanne. Dr. Maryanne, you obviously spoke about the fact that you keep discovering these new vegetables as you go for these walks, medicinal walks, and there is obviously you are a treasure trove of information in terms of Ayurveda and health and all of that. How do you think that one can, apart from these walks, get the younger generation really interested in something like this? Apart from what Miguel has already told us, from student to student or youth to youth. Apart from these walks, else do you think one can really get the younger generation interested in these so that they take this culinary tradition forward?
Okay. One of the unconventional ways that I always think of bringing the classroom out into nature. So, bring it there, let them pick things up, practice, learn. So that way, because when you go foraging, you need to practice. Otherwise, you can pick up sometimes some things that are not. So pick things up and then teach them how to cook right there. But the ways they like it, these are some of the ways that I can think of. Another way, of course, that we could get them to do is, of course, make them observe the butterflies and the different things that help pollinate a particular flower of that particular vegetable. So what happens, you associate, like with the clerodendron, the blue momon. So you have like this, you're teaching them varied things. You're not just teaching them about vegetables, you're also teaching them about the biodiversity. You're getting them to love nature. And this is what I tell, because I'm very much focused at the moment now in preserving the biodiversity on the plateaus, which are fast disappearing. So how else to get? And I keep the walks for children, below 5 or below, a little above that, free. So I want them to come, and I have these placards and things like that. So where we start like a quiz, where a one-on-one session, get them, encourage them, to ask questions. So what I've had the feedback is the kids then tell their parents, we want to go to the forest. We want to go on the walks. So not with me only, even by themselves. And this way they keep learning, keep studying. And I just love this. Talula is also doing some wonderful work in the community classroom from what I have been seeing and, learning. And I really commend what is happening. This is the way to take it forward with the younger generation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maryanne. I thought that was very, very interesting. Not only getting them started when they are so young, getting them interested and giving things to them in the manner that they like.
Yes.
So you're actually sort of inculcating that love for all these vegetables right from the time that they're really small. And of course, the fact that they sort of get to taste it in an interesting manner. It's not that it's being thrust upon them in an next preparation, which perhaps they don't like. I think that's very, very interesting. And I'm going to ask Miguel my next question. How do you really think that these can be, how can these vegetables, how can we scale up their production and make them more accessible to other areas also? Because trust me, I've actually come across some people in Goa, local people who are not even aware of all these vegetables. I'm sure all of us are not aware of everything. I'm not aware of all of them for sure, but even others, So how can we actually make them more accessible, more visible, so that more and more people realize that it's important to eat what is there in the season during the monsoons? Miguel, if you could share some thoughts.
I think what we need to promote is sustainable collection of these vegetables and marketing. In today's world, everybody wants one of the two things or maybe both. One is money, the other one is glamour. So if you can add glamour to this,
so right,
like what Rita Shinde has spoken about, out of the way cooking of vegetables, not the traditional way. You think out of the box, make new dishes, it excites people.
Yeah,
what mama and grandmama cooks is passe. If you can make some exciting things now, then it's good. And marketing, we have been having this weekly markets, so organic farmers markets and such things. When people can market, they come with different ways of marketing the same things. Even the packaging, maybe tied with a strip of coconut leaves or maybe tied up with something else, packaging in some other leaf. All such things come up, and we often just ignore the youth. The youth are the ones who are capable of new ideas.
Yes.
And we always say, no, the new generation doesn't know anything about it. I've tried with the new generation. In fact, I work most with youth between the age of 16 and 25, and they do things even I cannot imagine. Forget having done. Even what I cannot imagine, they are able to do. Because they have greater imagination. And what you can dream, you can deliver. So that has been a very good thing. And to give them glamour, to give them prizes, to give them appreciation and acknowledgement, that works miracles. We really don't have to do much. We have to just appreciate what they can do, and they will do much more. That is my mantra for success.
Wow. I absolutely agree with you, Miguel. I think that's a very, very pertinent statement that you made. And one should actually involve the youth. We typically, people in our age group, we tend to tell the younger generation, oh, they don't know anything. How are they going to know if you don't give them a free hand, if you don't explore their ideas? And as you very rightly said, that they definitely have a much more, vivid imagination. So they can actually contribute with very, very great ideas. Marketing, of course, plays a very, very important role. So I think a combination of these, and I love the fact that you said that these kind of dishes, which of course Rita has given us an insight into, should be reinvented. The same curry, the same dishes that we've been preparing vegetables, if they're prepared in the same manner, yes, it's interesting and we are proud of our culinary traditions, but if they can be reinvented to suit the modern contemporary palate, I think that adds a very, very interesting dimension. I love the fact that how Rita said that, the patio can actually be with the kind of a savory filling. That's so interesting. To vegetarians, you give them the seasonal vegetables. To non-vegetarians, you throw in some non-vegetarian elements also. And lo and behold, you have everybody who is happy. So it's not as if that, if you don't like the usual jaggery coconut kind of a filling, you can sort of dismiss it up and say, no, I don't want to really try that. So I think that's very interesting. Rita, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, you can even, I was just thinking as you were discussing, now it just struck my mind as you were, it just struck my mind. So why not the patoles with the same leaf, instead of cooking the meat or the prawns,
yes,
just marinate them raw, the way how the momos are steamed.
Yes.
And just steam them in the leaves.
Excellent.
So that the crunchiness remains for this non-veg of the prawns or of the meat, whatever meat is used in that, That's amazing. I think that's going to be a very good thing.
I think that's a very good suggestion.
Yes, you can try that. So likewise, as Miguel already said, most of these the traditional recipes, we need to preserve them. Yes, we need to preserve them for our future generation because they're really good. You just add coconut and it's a beautiful dish that you get, especially of the taikiro. Instead of coconut, you can add dal, turichi dal or masoor dal. Just soak it and you can add that dal and just leave the dal a little crunchy in the vegetable. Do not overcook it, then it becomes a little soft. Okay, then you could even add prawns, dry prawns. Why not dry prawns? And then even fresh prawns. Yes, make it with dry prawns and fresh prawns. Of course, during the as Dr. Maryanne said, during the Shravan month, most of us are vegetarians, are veg. So then you cannot add all this non-veg, but yes, you can stick to that time you stick to our old recipes, the mamas and grandmamas recipes. But after that, you can always give a twist and try the different recipes in that, right? We can always do that.
Sure. I have a question for anybody can answer or everybody can answer that, please. I was wondering, how do you all think as panelists and working in this field, that how can we actually peg rural tourism around these, apart from walks, of course, that's a very, very interesting way to take tourists, who are, either in a homestay or around for these walks, which Dr. Maryanne is already doing. So what are the other things you think, how we can excite even people from outside Goa to get interested in this? They come to Goa and they think those typical 4 things, the vindals and the shakutis and the whatever else, the prawn curry and fish curry, and that is where Goan cuisine ends. But all of us know that's just possibly the tip of the iceberg, really. So how can these vegetables during monsoons for tourists who come in during this season, which are plenty really, how can we actually get them to be interested in this? Anybody, whoever would like to start.
One point that came to my mind,
yes,
I may be right or I may be wrong, is just get them to the walk, as Dr. Maryanne said, pick the vegetables and teach them how to cook and let them taste it or eat it. That's one way of just attracting them so that they know that, okay, now we are going to go and take a walk, pick them, and then show them how the traditional way, how it is cooked. Because most of the people in the north of India or even international tourists, they do not know, or they don't have the taste of this especially the coconut in the vegetable.
Correct.
They say, "Arey, coconut in the vegetable," but yes, but then once you cook that and you give them to taste, then they say, "Oh, yes, that's amazing, that's nice, that's delicious." So some small tips like that, where you can cook and they get a chance to eat, I think can attract the tourism, especially the rural tourism. The dry fish, also how to cook that inside that. These are the small tips, because I take the walks in the market with the tourists who come for the classes, because these are the things which they do not get there or do not have, attracts them, and they are really interested in that. You know?
Quite
They
right.
say, can we pick up the super bangada, or the dry, we call it super bangada, and taste how it is, or the doriaro. Because dry prawns, I think they do get, many of them do get that, the prawns
Sure.
they get, but not these type of fishes. So these small things, it may be a petty thing for us, but for them it's something different. That's nice. They really love that.
And it adds to the experience also, I think.
Exactly.
Sort of elevates
It adds
the
a
entire
lot of
experience.
things to the experience. It adds a lot. Yes.
How do you all think we can involve the local community in these kind of activities? And because the whole peg of rural tourism is that the local community should be involved and they should benefit from this, women, youth, whoever. Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
We have in Goa all these spice farms and eco farms,
Yes.
which are in a rural setting. There are villages around there who know lots of dishes, how they do. We normally cook for ourselves for our own festivals, and it's not open to public. But if one or more of these could host a festival of food during the season, then I think there are a lot of people who would like to come and eat over there. Like we are going to have the Gauri Puja on the 12th of September. Most people don't know that you have to cook 5 different kinds of vegetables for Gauri Puja. Even among the Hindus, there are many people who don't know what goes into the Gauri Puja. Now, if you had the food of the Gauri Puja as a festival in an eco farm and have it open to the tourists, much better than raindrop tourism.
Yes.
If you could have the people also see what are actually the vegetables which have gone into the cooking, which are growing around in the village, have a walk, have some activities on the ecotourism or spice farm. They have facility to sit down. They have the facility to maybe go into the pool or into the river. All these things can be made into an event. It's an exciting thing to do.
Absolutely.
We have had a Tazuche Fest in NB Eco Farm, where people went there, saw the cashews growing, plucked, eat the apple, give the nuts for roasting, eat the shelled nuts from there, maybe even help to shell, or juice, drink the Nero, see how penny is made. So it's an exciting thing, and you can do it with almost anything. A year back, I did not know what a bow was. And my brother-in-law's daughter, who's doing her M.Sc in maths, started making bows and marketing them on WhatsApp. And they were sold the same day. It was Aldana, Mapsa, and around with home delivery during lockdown. And 200 bows just go move like that. So if we can do things like what Rita was speaking about, making the pato types, but more like a momo, you just have to market it. You just have to market it. It catches the fascination of the people. They may not eat it around a year, but you can make your buck in a month's time.
Absolutely.
So why not have a festival like this? And with the tourists and with the foreign tourists, definitely you can make it.
Exactly.
I think that is such a fabulous suggestion, Miguel. That's really, really interesting. And I think it's something which really needs to be executed and implemented sooner than later, so that people are actually privy to our rich monsoon bounty. And if it's marketed well, if it is, put out there in an interesting manner, there is no reason why people would not really lap it up. And add to the fact that you can actually get the local community involved, because the local community are the ones who are growing. We could get them to cook, as you said, in an ecotourism kind of a setting. I think it would make for a very, very interesting tourism event. I definitely think that the GTDC certainly needs to take note of that, or maybe some of us food people need to take note of that and absolutely make it happen. I think it was a fabulous suggestion. Dr. Maryanne, would you like to add to that? Were you saying something, Sarah?
the same thing that I was saying, you know, these festivals have clicked like anything in,
Yes.
and they have had such lovely. As they got more involved, discovered certain, the urban people discovered new vegetables. They discovered new. That Miguel's suggestion really makes for it. And if we could bring in Rita Ji's suggestion, like, you know, that we get like things like momos, give it a twist, something.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I think reinventing our local monsoon vegetables, eating them in the season, showcasing them in different manners with some very exciting recipes and tips which all of you have given, involving the youth, involving the local community, and actually preserving our culinary traditions, preserving our rich traditions of Goa, and of course keeping them intact as well, making sure that we don't harm the environment and make sure that we preserve it and take it forward. I think these have been very, very interesting insights and information that has come out, emerged out of this discussion. And I'm so very grateful to each one of you to take out time from your busy schedules and share this. Thank you so very much, all of you. Thank you, Miguel. Thank you, Dr. Maryanne. Thank you very much, Rita. And it's been a pleasure interacting with all of you. And I look forward to many more such meaningful discussions. And I'd like to extend a warm, great heartfelt thanks to all of you once again from Wiki Rural Tourism Council Goa. Thank you so much for sparing the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening ahead.
Good evening.
Thank you.